In this video, we will show you how to replace your radiator on this Dodge Dakota. This will be located in your engine compartment. Let's get into it. Okay friends, let's get started on our job. The first thing we're going to do is come right over to the radiator cap. Make sure it's cool to the touch. You don't want to open this up if your vehicle is at operating temperature. Next, let's go ahead and press this down, turn it counterclockwise to remove it. As we lift it up and away from your face. Give the cap a quick inspection. Make sure the seal is still in good condition. Assuming it looks good, set that aside. Now we can make our way underneath the vehicle. It's going to be time to start draining the cooling system. You'll find on the radiator, you have the drain right along here. Go ahead and grab onto that wing nut area, turn it counterclockwise, and start draining the coolant into a collection receptacle. Now, once you've drained out as much as possible, go ahead and close that drain. Now that we have that fully drained, let's continue on with a long flathead screwdriver. We're going to come right up along each side of the radiator. You'll find that you have a plastic tab that holds the wind diverter onto the radiator. Let's pop that out of place. Now that we have this side broken free, let's do the same on the other side of the radiator. There we are. Now we can move along to our transmission cooler lines. Continue with our flathead screwdriver. We'll pop this plastic cover off of the area. Once you have that moved, you'll find that you have a metallic clip holding the line to the radiator. To remove this, we'll use an angled pick. That's what the clip looks like. Set that aside. Take hold of that line, give it a wiggle, and start removing it. Keep in mind, there may be transmission fluid in this area. Have a collection bucket under here. Now we'll do the same thing to this transmission cooler line. Now we can start removing our lower radiator hose. For this, you want to make sure you squeeze the clamp with pliers or a hose clamp plier like this one. Once you have that hose off of there, just give it a quick squeeze. Make sure it's soft and pliable and it's not torn, worn, or damaged in any way. Now let's continue on along the front bumper. If you were to look along this area, underneath where your front license plate should be, you're going to find that you have two 10mm headed bolts that hold the AC condenser to the radiator. Remove the pair. Now let's make our way back up into the engine compartment. We're going to remove this plastic trim panel. You'll find that you have 5 push clips holding it in place. Remove all 5 using a trim tool. Set this aside. Move along to removing the upper radiator hose from the radiator. Squeeze the clamp, slide it down the hose, remove the hose, and inspect it. Now we can start removing the fan shroud. You'll find that you have two 13mm headed bolts holding it in place. Remove the pair. Take hold of the fan shroud. You can remove that from the radiator. At this point, we'll just leave it hanging in this area. Now we can move along to removing our two 10mm headed bolts that hold the radiator to the crossbar. Now let's have a look along this area right here. You're going to find two more 10mm headed bolts that hold the AC condenser to the radiator. Remove the pair. We'll do the same over here on the passenger side. Now that we have that out of the way, let's continue on to this area on each side of the radiator. We'll remove the push pin that holds this in place. Pry it out of there. Now we'll do the same on the other side. Now we can remove the overflow hose. Make sure that's soft and pliable. Now we can move along to our two rubber mounts. Use my screwdriver to gently pry those out of position. Give them a quick inspection. Make sure they are reusable because we will be reusing them. The next thing we'll do is carefully grab onto the AC condenser, lift it straight up just a little bit, and then slide it towards the front of the vehicle, removing it from the lower aspect of the radiator. Now we can start removing the radiator from the vehicle. As we do, pay attention to the fan shroud right here. You don't want to get caught on that. You also want to make sure that you do not damage the AC condenser along the front of the radiator. There it is, friends. Once you have the radiator out of there, we're going to continue on to removing each of the rubber mounts. For this, you can use a small trim tool or a screwdriver. We'll give it a quick inspection. Do the same to the other one. Okay friends, let's get ready to install our brand new radiator. Before we put this down into the vehicle, install both of your lower rubber mounts. Now we can move along to these. you'll find that on one area of it, you have a tab that protrudes out. We want to make sure that we have that facing out and away towards us, not towards the radiator, as we slide this up and into place. Press that all the way in. Listen for a click. That should hold it secure. Now we can do the same to the other 4 holes. Let's continue on to the 2 larger ones. Those go right up along the top area of the radiator. Slide this into place, once again being extremely careful for the fan shroud and for your AC condenser. We'll slide this into position into the lower radiator mounting points. Now we'll continue on with our 2 10mm bolts that hold the AC condenser to the radiator. Once you have both of those started, pause here and install the 2 lower 10mm headed bolts as well. Now that we have all 4 of them started, snug them up. Make our way back up here and snug these as well. Now let's install our upper bushings. You'll find on one side you have this metallic area that goes directly up against the body of the vehicle. We'll slide this into place. Let's install these long 10mm headed bolts. Once you have each of them started, snug them up. Now we can start aligning the fan shroud. Get that slid into place. Now that we have this aligned, let's continue on with the top area of the fan shroud. Slide this down into place. Once you have it properly aligned, continue on with each of your 13mm headed bolts. Start them in, snug them up. The next thing we want to do is make our way along each side of the radiator. You remember that you had the air ducts that are supposed to attach to the edge of the radiator. On this application, we're going to take each of these and slide them in between the AC condenser and the radiator all the way down, making sure that it diverts all the air through the radiator. Do the same on the other side. Continue on to your upper radiator hose. We'll slide this into position on top of the radiator here. Once you have that completely bottomed out against this area of the radiator, continue on with the clamp, sliding it back to its original position. Let's move along to our reserve hose. Now we can move along to the forward trim piece here. We'll slide this into place. Align all of your push clip holes and install the push clips. If you have a hard time pressing them in, you can use a small hammer. Now we can make our way back underneath the vehicle. It's time to reattach the lower radiator hose. Slide that into position on the radiator. Continue on by sliding the clamp back into its original position as well. Now we can do the transmission cooler lines. Take those, press them into the radiator. Listen for a click and try to remove them from the radiator. I'm trying to pull it out. Make sure it's secure. Once you're sure that that's secure, continue on to the white locking clip. Double check that, and then do the same to the other transmission cooler line. Let's just double check, make sure that the coolant drain is tightened. Now it's time to start filling the cooling system. You can do this several ways. Some people just like to use a funnel in this area. If you have the specialty tool, this works a lot better. I'll apply some vacuum. Now I'll confirm that the cooling system holds vacuum. And at this point, we can continue filling it with 50-50 diluted coolant. This is what the funnel would look like. You want to make sure you have your adapter that fits directly into the radiator. We'll press this down, lock it in, give it a wiggle. Add some coolant and let it burp out the air. Now, once you feel as though you have all the air out of the system, with it just sitting like this, it's a good idea to start up the vehicle and let it get up to normal operating temperature. Make sure you have plenty of heat coming out of the vents, and also keep checking this area. What you'll find is commonly, air will continue making its way out of the system and coolant will make its way in. We need to continue filling this until it's at its maximum, right up along the top here. Now, once you've done that, go ahead and remove the funnel. Continue on to your radiator cap. We'll slide this into position. Turn it clockwise to lock it in. Now, once you have that full, make your way over to the transmission dipstick. Assuming you're on a flat level surface, you're going to want to have the vehicle running and at normal operating temperature. Go ahead and remove that dipstick. Once you have it out of there, we're going to wipe it down. At this point, you want to be paying attention to the areas on the dipstick that it shows you where the level should be. If the vehicle's running at a normal operating temperature, it should be up and in between these two dots. If it's down a little bit too low, go ahead and add a little bit, but never make your way up and above those dots. Once you're sure that's good, go ahead and reinstall your dipstick. Okay friends, we've got the truck back together. At this point, go ahead and start it up one more time, double check for leaks, and then take it for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.